Hey y'all, so what's going on? CHIC-CHAT. So I'm out here getting my walk on just because I have pledged to myself that I was gonna get back to it. So here we are. So let's talk about some things, right? Um, Oftentimes I feel like this one topic that we don't really get into enough, and it's the setbacks that come with, relationships sometimes. And how they affect us. Understand? And that's why when you're choosing people that you're going to deal with, it's really one of the most important things that you're going to do, because in the event that that situation does not work out, it's going to have an effect on you. And how it affects you is going to, it's going to depend on the person, and it's going to depend on what actually happened. It's going to depend on how you deal with it. So for example, like, you get with a person, they're a decent person, y'all have a breakup, y'all go y'all separate ways. But if they're a decent person, right, then they at least won't try to scandalize your name, or they at least won't try to take you for everything that you got, or they at least won't try to embarrass you. They at least won't try to, go deal with somebody close to you. They at least won't try to smear stuff in your face. It's certain things that when you decent, you just don't do that. And when you have respect for the situation that you're coming out of, you won't do that, right? So that's why I say it's important who you have certain dealings with, because it's a good chance that it ain't gonna work. That's just the reality of it. It's a good chance that, you got a 50-50 chance that it's gonna work and it's gonna blossom into whatever you want it to be, or it's not. And then, even if it does blossom into whatever you want it to be, you still have another 50-50 chance that that's gonna work out. Because, okay, let's say it do blossom into whatever you want it to be. Y'all in a relationship, y'all in a committed relationship, maybe you get married, then it's another 50-50 chance that it's gonna work out and it's gonna last. So it's a big chance that the situation at some point, y'all gonna go y'all separate ways, right? So that's why who you pick really matters. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is, I can't say that, and I wouldn't say, because I have seen relationships have profound effects on men, and a lot of times I have seen where, the guy, he internalizes the hurt on himself, and then he externalizes the hurt to other women. When he's hurt, he ends up hurting a lot of other women because he's hurting so bad inside. Now with us as women, what I tend to see is we externalize it, and then we keep externalizing it. We hurting so bad on the inside, and then we just keep hurting ourselves even more. Like they hurt us, and then we start hurting ourselves. And that's why, hurt people. But a lot of times hurt people hurt themselves too. That's the part we don't say. Hurt people hurt themselves. A lot of times women, us, we do it. And it's not always as obvious as you unaliving yourself. Sometimes you hurting yourself by gaining too much weight, being depressed, when that's not your diagnosis, but you go into a depression because what you and this person that went through, that didn't go the way you wanted it to. Being angry and acting out on your anger, cussing people out, being nasty, being rude, being mean, shopping too much, spending money you shouldn't be spending, you know, retail therapy, as we say, but you digging yourself into a big hole, overcompensating. A lot of time women do that, overcompensate, over showboat, because you trying to prove that you hurt now. Oh, you trying to prove, you want to make him feel like he sure enough chose the wrong person, or he sure enough messed up with you. So you go and jump your tail into debt, trying to make yourself be something that you are not yet. Again, hurting yourself. You killing the future, trying to be so impressive in the present, only because you're trying to get back at a dude from the past. Make that make sense. But we do it. We do it. And it's all kind of ways that we internalize that anger, that disappointment, that hurt, and keep hurting ourselves. Take the anger out on your kids. Take the hurt and the frustration out on your children. That's hurting you. Because you know what? At some point, you're going to want to have a better relationship with them kids. But while you was going through it with that man, you let that affect how you treated them kids. So now, when you're a little older and you want that relationship with them kids feel some kind of way. And they feel like you got to strain your face with them before you can even talk about a relationship. That's the stuff we don't want to talk about, that though. So, to say that picking the type of person that you deal with is so important. I mean, and when I'm talking about picking somebody, I'm talking about picking a man, because that's who I deal with, men. Understand me? No questions about it. But I have seen women get just as hurt, just as dogged, just as ran through by other women too. Now, I can't understand that to save my life, but it ain't for me to try to understand, because that ain't my bag and I ain't gonna try to jump in it. But this message still applies to you. If that is your bag, you have to be very mindful who you decide to deal with. Because if we got a 50-50 chance, male and female, you don't even have that. You don't even have that of your relationship working. Truth be told. You got way too many odds against that. And I ain't even gonna get into no spiritual aspect. I ain't even gonna get into the social aspect. I ain't gonna get into none of that, because I ain't here to offend nobody. But I'm always here to tell the truth. At least my truth. So, when you making certain decisions, you better make sure that's really what you want to be doing. You picking certain people to be in your life, because I can attest to when situations don't work, they change you. They change you, you know? And we don't always realize the change right away, right? Sometimes we'll go to say, oh, I ain't never gonna love nobody like that no more. I ain't never gonna do this, I ain't never gonna do that. We realize that in the moment, you know, that we're hurting. But after we ain't hurt no more, we don't pay attention to the fact that, you know, we will love again. But this time, you so insecure in your loving. This time, you so hard in your heart in your loving. Right? Before, you was an easy person to love. Now that you done went through something, you a little hard to like. You a little hard to love. Because why? Because you walking on eggshells in your heart, because you don't want to get hurt like that again. You don't want to go through what you've been through. So although you're taking the risk you're doing it in a way that is almost for sure to trigger the ending that you don't want. Because your heart is hard. You know, you're not easy to get along with as you think. You nice and you sweet, but because of what you've been through, you hard to deal with it. You know, you're always thinking that you about to get hurt. You're always thinking that the person being slick. You're always thinking that they ain't what they say they is. You're always thinking that they only get over. Why? Because the relationship previously changed you. And you ain't realized that. You didn't realize how bad it changed you. Before, you was very social. You ain't mind going to meet, you know, they people, going to hang out with their in-laws, etc., so forth. Now it's like, you don't want to be bothered with nobody. You know, now he got to make up excuses for why you kind of standoffish. When all it is that you've been hurt and you never bounced back from that. And it changed you in a way that wasn't for the better. You was the type of person, some of y'all guys, you was the kind of man that you ain't mind showing love. You ain't mind paying for this, paying for that. Now you done hopped on the 50-50 crew side. Because you felt like that's all she wanted from you. You felt like you did so much for her and she didn't appreciate nothing. She still left you. Whole time it wasn't that she didn't appreciate you. She didn't appreciate you cheating on her just because you was paying for stuff. Just because you was a provider. See, a lot of times we like to look at half the picture. We don't really want to dissect that whole thing, because that whole thing means now we got to be accountable for the things we did wrong. It wasn't that chick was a gold digger. She knew how to get her own money. So yeah, you did things for her. Rightfully so. Y'all was together. She did things for you. She might have had kids from you. But now all of a sudden, you don't feel like you're supposed to do the same thing. You don't want to be the Mr. Nice Guy. Or you feel like the nice guys get taken advantage of, or the nice guys finish last. Why? Because the relationship changed you. That's why a lot of times, ladies, you may deal with a guy, say you deal with him in your early 20s. Y'all run back, you know, cross each other in y'all 40s. You thinking you got the same dude from last time. He done been through 2-3 bad relationships, baby. You ain't got the same dude at all. And if he ain't did the work, you definitely don't have a better version of him than the other one had. Sorry to let you know. If he ain't did no work on healing the hurt, because he ain't just walked out of them relationships that he spent years with them women with. He ain't just walked out of those relationships unscathed. That ain't how that don't happen. As hard as we try to be, as tough as we want to be. No. When stuff don't work out, it leaves marks. It leaves scars. You got to do the work, baby. You got to go get you some shea butter. Go get you some Ambi. Go get you some coconut oil, vitamin E oil. You got to do a whole bunch of work to get rid of them scars. You hear me? And that's just the physical scars. So imagine what all you got to do to get rid of the emotional scars, the monetary scars, the mental scars. And they ain't did no work. So they all scarred up. And you thinking you got a prize. No, baby. You got a Luke song, scarred. 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 That's what you got. But yeah, the one thing that I told myself moving forward was that I was always going to limit how I let a situation change me. I didn't want to lose any more of my good components just because a person could not appreciate what I was bringing to the table, right? After my one true heartbreak, right? Because it was the situation that changed me. And after that, when I realized how it changed me, I said, not no more. Because I wanted to be able to give my next person the same person and a better version than I gave that person, right? I didn't want to come to the table with lesser of me, meaner of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter how good you think you already coming to the table with some flaws. You know what I'm saying? That's just the truth of the matter. It's something wrong with you. Something. No matter how good you think you are, there's something wrong with you, right? And when you know that, you don't want to add to it. And you don't want to add to it by default. You don't want to add to it because somebody else did something to you. You know what I'm saying? So that's the one thing that I always am mindful of, to make sure that not only do I show up just as good the next time, but that I show up better. And so that means that I have to do the work. I have to do the work. I have to deal with, I'm disappointed and I'm mad. I got to deal with the fact that when I get disappointed and mad, I might want to tear up some, break some, spray some. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever it is I want to do. But I can't take that into the next situation, because who want to deal with somebody like that? You come in to the situation with a chip on your shoulder, telling him all the things you're going to do if he try you like that. You can't do that. Not out the gate. You know what I'm saying? And preferably, what you want to do is heal that, so that even when that person disappoints you, hurts you, or whatever it is they do, you don't show up in that way. Because you can only show up with that anger, with that aggression, with that bitterness, with that get back. You can only do that for so long before your tail gonna be in trouble. You either gonna be going to jail, or somebody gonna do something to you. And I don't care how good you think you are with whatever it is, it's always somebody a little tougher. And there's always somebody need a couple dollars. That a person can go ahead and get them a couple dollars to deal with you. So you have to be mindful of when you're showing up and you're angry and you still hurt from them other relationships. For whatever it is that went wrong in your life. But with women, it usually has to do something with your relationships. And most of the time it's your romantic relationships, but sometimes it's further than that. It goes back further than that. Sometimes it's the relationship you have with your mom, or the lack thereof. Sometimes it's the relationship you have with your dad, lack thereof. But all of it go back to you having to do the work. Whatever it is that's ailing you, whatever it is that changed you. Maybe you were a good child, good loving child, but your mom didn't know how to discipline you properly, so she tended to beat you. Then you find yourself beating your kids. Then heal from the trauma. And then maybe you don't beat them physically, but you beat them verbally. You beat them verbally. And sometimes you can beat them verbally just by talking too much. How many times you gonna say that? How many times you gonna just run this in the ground? You said it. They heard you. You said it again to drive it home. How many times you gotta keep telling them? Before you're doing too much, parent. But what it is, you don't know any other way to drive the point home. So, you beat them to death verbally or physically. And then sometimes emotionally, you start withdrawing yourself from them. Start, you know, showing tough love, but really like trying to mess with them emotionally. And sometimes you're doing it intentionally, sometimes you're doing it unintentionally, but it's happening. I ain't talking about what I heard, I'm talking about what I know, what I see. I'm talking about that relationships change you. And if you ain't careful, it change you for the bad. So I'm gonna leave y'all with that. Any kind of situation you're dealing with, you really take account of whatever the toll it was on you. Like I say, whether it was monetary, sometimes it's monetary, sometimes they just beat you for your little coins, and you gotta regroup that. Easy. You will hustle, you will get that back and some. That ain't nothing to cry about. It's material. But it's them other wounds that don't heal as easily. The mental, the emotional, physical stuff. You gotta find a way to limit the damage that a person can do to you, while at the same time not denying people the best version of you. And I say that too because I look back on situations and I say, man, I should have been better to that person. Y'all know what? If it ain't a dog park, don't walk y'all dogs without no leash. Because people like me be scared, and if they come my way, I already know when I'm finna kick them back. I ain't lying. I'm gonna be hollering and kicking. I ain't lying. But anyways, you definitely have to make sure that you do treat the people good who you feel like deserve it, who you should treat them well, right? Because like I said, I look back and I say, man, I should have did this, I should have did that for them. I shouldn't have did this or that for that person, but I should have showed up better for them. But when I look back at it, a lot of times the reason why I didn't show up well for that person is because I was not healed. I was not healed when I started dealing with that situation. So even though that person was being good to me, I couldn't return it. And then I got arrogant with it and started feeling like I deserved that. And see, that be the mistake a lot of us women make. We run across a man who been good to us and who's being good to us after we done had dudes that wasn't good to us. Now we feel like, oh, we supposed to get this treatment. Yeah, you do supposed to get the treatment, but baby, you supposed to be able to return that. He didn't mess you up. So your attitude shouldn't be like, oh, you know, yeah, I'm getting back for all the stuff I went through. That's not his job to make up for all the foolish stuff you went through, all the bad dudes you chose. Not a good one supposed to make up for all of that. If he do, that's wonderful, but that's not his charge to keep. If he's being good to you, that's who he is, and he likes you in that way. He ain't there to make up for whatever your ex-husband your last boyfriend or girlfriend did. But then we get so arrogant and we feel like, get so arrogant and unhealed And now you don't know how to treat this good man. Because you're so used to dealing with the lower levels. And he top tier. And you unhealed. Meaning, you really ain't ready for him. But if God saw fit to bless you with him, you get ready for him. He here now. Heal. Do the work. Get it right. Don't lose him. And then you have the guilt of your old relationship that your partner went wrong. Now you got the guilt of this new relationship where you went wrong. So now that requires healing on top of healing. Work on top of work. And before you know it, you just a whole mess. And people saying why you ain't married. Because you a whole mess. And maybe you know or maybe you don't know. But it just comes down to you just didn't do the work. That's all. So yeah, I'm gonna leave y'all with that. Finish my walk. Do the work. Don't let the hurt, the anger, betrayal, don't let it change you. You were sweet before, be sweeter. Be sweeter. Just make better decisions. You need to be sweeter too. Your next go round. Enjoy your day.